I don't know. I'm curious. I don't even know. I don't even know if that's true. But I was just like, I mean, it's just a curious, like, development. I mean, I understand George Lucas, and I'd love to work with you, but
It's Mr. Lucas.
but it's just, I just think it's curious. Go ahead. What's your question? You haven't asked a question yet, have you?
As you stated earlier, this is a horrible interview.
Yeah.
But I enjoy every single one of them. It's great. Maria's laughing. We're all having fun. Now, if you had $1 for every time I saw you in the damn Geico commercial this year alone, you would have a lot of dollars, my friend.
You're talking about the one with Kenny Rogers.
You playing poker with Kenny Rogers is on my screen at least 80 times every Sunday.
Right, because they do it on the football. They assume you watch football.
I have a gambling problem.
Do you? Okay, let's get into it.
I have a lot of screens going. There's a lot of
Do you have the, what is that, where they have all the games going on the one screen?
The game mix. I got the game mix
The
channel.
game mix.
Yes. But I don't like the game mix because I'm old and the eyes have gone and I can't really focus. So I do two on the big screen. I do one on the computer and one on the iPad.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty intense. And are you fantasy? Do you have players, or you just teams, or you bet quinellas? How do you do it?
Quinellas. Yes, I bet football quinellas.
That's a betting term. I don't know if it still exists.
It does exist.
What is it?
It's only for horse racing.
It's for? You have to bet, I assume,
the
quinella
is when you pick the top two horses to finish and win and place. The exacta is when you get them in the exact order.
Yeah.
The quinella is when you just say the 3 and the 5 are going to be the top two. I don't care what order they come in.
That's called the quinella.
Quinella. And also the name of my next child, I think.
Because you're married to an Hispanic woman.
No, there will be no more children, just for the record.
So you bet just the games with the line and all. Is this you don't want to talk about it on the air?
Oh no,
it's illegal?
But I don't gamble per se because I used to have a gambling problem. Now I'm just a bookie.
You don't have to say per se.
Per se.
You either don't gamble or you do gamble. Per se is just a waste of all of our time.
Then you,
and very much the way me bringing it up is a waste of time.
You be the barometer. I don't bet, but I accept wagers. Does that make me a gambler?
Accept wagers? What does that mean?
I run a small bookmaking operation. So I take all my friends'
Are you
bets.
for real? That can't be right.
That's how I paid for my first book, my friend.
That's how you paid for what?
I self-published my first book with my winnings from my illegal gambling activities.
Are you part of the Gotti gang? How does this work?
No, I'm Portuguese. No, Gotti. No. It's just my friends. I take all my friends' money. We're all bad gamblers, and I decided, well, I'll just take your money.
Well, what happens if they hit a winning streak? Who backs you up? How does that work?
Do you know any gamblers?
Yeah, I know.
When they win, do they ever stop?
All right. Okay.
When you start thinking it through,
the house wins.
The house always wins,
right.
and they have been.
No, that just makes you a bad friend. But you're not a gambler.
But I'm not a gambler.
You're not a gambler.
And I don't care for these guys that much anyway, so it works out perfect for me.
God, it's crazy. You're the first one. All right. I met outside of made guys who run bookie stuff out of New York.
It's we're not talking tens of thousands.
Well,
of
let me ask you this: where do you get the line? Where do you get the line?
I have a specific site I use. That's a Vegas gambling site that I don't have an account on, but you can see the lines every day, and they change. And I go.
You don't want it to move too much. That's how you can lose, right? Am I wrong? Tell me I'm wrong.
I wait till the last minute.
Okay.
I won't give.
I know a little something about this.
And I have gotten burned because
the line moves. That's the one time Vegas can lose, right?
And I've got the kids, so Sunday morning is kid time because I lock myself into the games in the afternoon. So if I mess up my timing of when I get the line, it's burned me a few times.
You're a bizarre guy, man.
Thank you very much. Thank you. So Maria, can you jot these down? So far I've been called a bad interviewer, a bizarre guy, and possibly connected to the New York Mafia.
Yeah, to one of the 5 families.
I'm the 6th family.
You're the 6th family, the Portuguese guys.
The quasi-Portuguese family who takes small potatoes.
But you don't have a job that you would be able to make money to self-publish your book outside of this?
I was a corporate guy for 16 years.
Yes. What does that mean, corporate guy?
I was in magazine publishing. I was
Men's Health.
No, I write for Men's Health now.
Yeah.
But I used to be on the business side. I worked 8 years. I was the budget director for Bob Guccione at Penthouse Magazine.
No. Okay.
Federman has gone down the rabbit hole.
Oh, no.
And then I worked at Time Inc. for 8 years.
Doing what at Time Inc.?
When I quit, I was the vice president running Popular Science Magazine.
Okay. All right. I love that you wouldn't say I work for Popular Science. You could make it Time, like you're working for Time magazine.
No, Time Inc.
Yeah, I know they publish that, but they have a lot that they publish.
Yeah, well, I also worked at Field and Stream, but the last thing I did at Time Inc. was Popular Science.
All right. And you couldn't bank enough money? I guess having kids costs a lot.
No, I have.
Do you live in Manhattan?
I have plenty of money.
Oh.
I do that for the ancillary. You know, I didn't need
you just did it as
like
a
my
hobby
own book,
thing.
But I was making. I took this coin and put it.
Got it. Like you were just like, I'm going to do this for this.
I made enough money in the corporate career to do this for a living, which, as you know, pays fabulously well.
Did you golden parachute out?
No, I quit.
You just quit. Did you get any severance at all?
Not at all.
You know, I have never had a job in the world like that.
That you would want to quit, or that you just would?
No, I mean, I worked for a number of companies when I was starting out, but I've never had like a full-time job where I'm like in a corporate thing where it would be like, oh, you get 2 weeks off, and it's
fucking
severance.
Miserable, dude.
Yeah.
You're lucky to never have encountered that. And I'm used to knowing only people who do that.
Right.
In New York.
What do you think of us weird creative types?
Well, that's me now. That's what that was the me that was struggling to get out, Wayne.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah, so sad. But at least But I also run into people like me all the time who didn't put that fucking big chunk of money away, and I'm like, well, that's just stupid.
That was smart. When did you know you were going to make your great escape? How many years in?
I was doing for 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
The last 3 or 4 years. All right, here's on my show. Wayne's doing a great interview here. I moved to New York to write for Spy Magazine. That was the dream back in the 80s.
I know that magazine.
I wanted to be a writer. I wanted to work for them. It didn't happen. And I got a job at Penthouse, and I started working the business side, kept taking the money, and rode that chain all the way up. 2001, I had plenty of money. The house was almost paid off, and I started feeling crappy again. Started doing stand-up and acting and that type of thing. I was doing both for a couple years. And then at some point, for Popular Science, I did a pilot they were doing for a news magazine.
Oh.
They let me co-host it.
Right.
And a woman came back and said, "This is a horrible show. The only bright spot in it is whoever that host is. He was nice, but people like him."
What was his name?
It was me.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
I'm kidding.
He looked like me, but much more talented.
All right, so you won't give me the exact year. That's all right.
No,
this is a long story.
I'd never thought of quitting until the woman who made that comment.
And that was the trigger.
That was it. She over lunch one day, she kept trying to give me advice and help me out. She's like, "Why don't you just quit? Like, you want to do all this other stuff. Can you quit?" I'm like, "Oh, I didn't think I could until I said that to my wife, and she said, "Well, you should," and then I did. Wow. And that's the story of.
That's pretty good for those people listening out there and thinking maybe I want to try something a little outside of the 9 to 5. Although I feel like a lot of people would be thrilled to have your job at Popular Mechanics. Am I wrong?
At Popular Science, yes.
Popular Science.
And stepping back from it now. Popular Science.
That's different than Popular Mechanics.
Popular Mechanics is more the how-to. Popular Science is more the...
Is there any other popular magazines with
Popular Photography?
Really?
I think there's one. I wouldn't know. I feel like that rings a bell when you're looking at the...
All right.
When I'm looking at spreadsheets, I think I remember seeing that.
Okay.
I became, for a little while, the poster boy of like quitting your job to follow your dreams.
Oh, nice.
And
that must feel good.
Well, but it's still, this business. Like, I can't imagine being in it not having the safety net of what I have. Like, and I am surrounded by people in New York who don't have that.
Okay, you know where I worked? For a temp firm. Got a job.
Okay.
Otis Elevator Company. Are you familiar with that?
Yes, they have created every elevator in the country, pretty much, right?
They're. All right, let me see if I get this right.
Uh-oh.
Their logo, not their logo, like their company saying. Saying is not the right word, but it was
their motto, their theme.
Their motto.
Okay.
Their motto was, "We move the equivalent of the world's population every 8 days." So that includes the escalators and the elevators.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. So whatever, how many people on the planet? Is it like 7 billion?
7 billion at this point, yeah. That's a lot of people.
Every 8 days. That's a lot of movement.
On the 9th day, do they rest?
No, they start over.
They start it over again?
They do it over. Otis Elevator Company. But I was temp, and then they wanted to hire me full time. I don't know if you know how that works with a temp company.
No.
Temp company, basically... The temp company pays you, they pay the temp company. So they may pay the temp company $15 an hour, and you may get $9.
They take a little slice.
Every week. And then if they decide, oh, we want to hire Wayne, they pay the temp company, I don't know, $10,000 finder's fee or something like that.
The Federman fee.
It might not be that much, but it might be a couple $1,000s.
And what were you doing for them that they wanted?
Oh, I was what was I doing? I was keeping that company going. What was I doing?
In the back, just turning the crank, moving those 8 million people?
I was the service dispatcher for Midtown East, Manhattan.
So if the elevator at 53rd and 6th goes down,
right,
they call Wayne Federman.
Well, what happens is people would buy something called a service contract.
Okay.
And that basically it's 8 to 5. If your elevator goes down, you pay like a couple $100 a month. We'll send out a guy and fix it for free.
Sweet deal.
Yeah.
It's a sweet deal.
If you don't have the service contract, it's going to cost you a lot of money. Needless to say.
How were you over the phone with those who didn't have the service contract and would call you?
Oh, no, it was only the people with service contract would call me.
Okay, so you didn't get the sad stories.
Yeah. But I did learn something very important, and I'm going to impart it right now.
I like this.
This was when somebody asked you, what time is the repairman going to get here? My elevator isn't leveling. It's like it's up a couple inches. I have to step down.
They think it's a big problem.
Right, it's a big problem. What time is he going to be there? And this is what I was taught to say. You ready? This comes from corporate.
Hit me.
As soon as they can. Do not commit to any time whatsoever.
That was written in a binder somewhere that you would read off the script?
As soon, do not give a time. Will it be this afternoon? Hey, they'll get there as soon as they can.
I want to say, if they created that, a lot of companies have stolen it.
Yeah, so creepy. Like, we're not even going to say when they're going to be there.
What were you doing at the time? Were you also...
I was starting to do stand-up. Had you
been acting already? Were you doing...
No, not professionally. I mean, I had gone to acting school, but the Federman path was...
You listening out there, kids?
This is the Federman path.
This is it.
Was to get a good acting background because I wanted to be a stand-up comedian.
So that was always the goal.
Wait, stand-up comedian, ... who could also act. Oh. And that was my thing. I wanted to be good at both of those.
Was there a template for that back then?
Yeah.
What time frame are we talking? This is the
early 80s. Yeah, early 80s, yeah. Yeah, there was. What are you talking about? Freddie Prinze and Jimmy Walker and all of these. I mean, even goes back to the beginning.
Red Fox and all these guys.
Yeah, Red Fox had a show, and but even Phil Silvers had a sitcom, and
the 80s was the specific comedy boom where actors were getting development deals.
Yeah, I wasn't quite at that level. I was just trying to get good spots at the comic strip and go and do these crazy, horrible gigs in New Jersey and things like that. Okay, let me tell you one gig I did.
Hit me.
I entertained gamblers
on
buses from New York to Atlantic City.
The old people buses?
Yes. They were a little on the elderly side.
My mother-in-law rides that bus.
Yeah. Well, at the time, everyone wanted young comedians to do. I was on the CBS morning show.
I saw that in the profile. I'm like, what were they? They just had you on as a comic?
Well, they would tape a bunch of us at a thing and then go, hey, and
you think this weather's crazy? Wayne Federman
coming up. We have a young comedian, and then they'd show a couple minutes of stand up.
Okay.
So it was like a real thing. I felt at the time it just seemed like there were so many comedians, but looking back, I'm like, oh, they were really interested in specifically young comedians who were kind of clean, who were, as opposed to an Alan King type of comedian or something So it was.
You guys are younger. That was the st's generation of comedian.
Well, even early. I mean, he's earlier than that. But yeah, so it was a fun time, and stupid. Can we take that back? I said it was a fun time. It was a fun time, and
I'll chop that up.
Jesus,
that's all. That's the only clip I'm going to use for the whole interview. It's Wayne Federman. It was a fun time.
It was a fun time. God, the words that come out of my mouth sometimes. All right.
Was it fun? Was it a fun time, Wayne?
Yeah, it was. It was an interesting. So anyway, I couldn't make enough money to pay rent, so I had to take a number of jobs, but that was the one I was at the longest.
You couldn't make enough money doing the stand-up at night?
No, the most you could make was $5 or something like that.
Gosh.
Yeah.
What was the first big stand-up deal for you?
Well, I started doing colleges. I got very popular doing colleges.
And you couldn't have been much older than the kids you were entertaining at that time.
Well, I mean, I was, at the time, I was like 8 or 9 years older, so
Okay.
that did seem like a gap. But they have something called